Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gay Geek Theory podcast. Now, this is not our official second podcast. This is actually a Spider-Man special edition.
Special news bulletin.
Yeah, from the Daily Bugle. Because, as of last night, at about 8 o'clock, or 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, there has been an announcement coming from Marvel and Sony saying that...
A joint announcement
saying that Spider-Man is officially going to be joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes, Sony and Marvel have reached a deal, and really this has just been a matter of time in the coming, because ever since this big Sony email hack, it was very apparent. An email was addressed to Amy Pascal by the CEO of Sony's parent company, basically saying that either Amy Pascal could make the deal or she would get fired and then the CEO would make the deal. So.
And apparently she did make the deal because she is the only... she is the representative from Sony that is going to be working with Kevin Feige and Marvel.
Yes, they're joint producers now for the Spider-Man.
And they're going to be working together, which is... I am so excited about this. A lot of people were saying they really didn't want Spider-Man to become a member of the MCU. But I like that he's going to be in the MCU, but Spider-Man's movies are still going to be Sony co-produced. So that they're not really diverting stuff from Marvel.
Will there be two Spider-Men, though?
No. There's going to be one Spider-Man who is shared between the two studios. Okay. Who is going to play him, we have no idea.
I have my fingers crossed for Andrew Garfield. Like, that'd be my first choice.
I want Andrew Garfield to come back because he was the best part of the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
And he's such a good Spider. He's such a good Peter Parker.
He so is, and he was not the part of those movies that was bad.
Yeah.
Everything else was. But he was really good. But I don't know if Marvel's going to want to keep him around.
Kevin Feige is pretty down to earth with these things, so he's liable to keep him on because he knows that Andrew Garfield has a huge fan following.
Yeah,
and that any gay man on the Marvel creative team would be able to show just
look at him in his butt with his butt hanging
that
out all
ass,
the time.
that spider butt. Like, come on.
And maybe they won't reduce it.
Apparently, they had to reduce Andrew Garfield's package.
They did.
Yeah.
On the Amazing Spider-Man 2, they reduced it and just Justin Bieber'd the shape.
Scrawny British boys generally have huge members.
They do, and that is why I love scrawny British men.
I'm more of a big, burly, Welsh rugby player kind of guy. But
well, see, if Andrew Garfield or Benedict Cumberbatch decided that they were gay, I would be first in line to be like, I want it.
Well, hey,
hell, they don't have to decide to be gay. They can just be experimenting or.
Well,
drunk.
as I've heard, is the trend in Europe. Everyone's just varying levels of hetero-flexible. I mean,
pretty much.
Especially not in the UK because the UK is still a little bit not up to what the rest of Europe, which is
they're getting there. I mean, the Queen says she wants gay marriage, so
first religious leader in the world to support gay marriage. Yeah. But let's get back to talking about the politics of this deal.
Let's stop talking about Andrew Garfield's ass.
The producer, look up the producer's name. The old producer.
Oh, Avierid. Avierid. He was a producer on the first Hulk movie, as well as...
He's produced all the other Spider-Man movies.
And all the other Spider-Man movies, and apparently he's gone.
That was one of the Marvel stipulations about the deal, is that he had to get out, and he was putting up a huge stink about this, apparently.
Because he didn't want to let Spider-Man go, obviously, because
even though he'd been fucking him over, figuratively.
I mean, it seems like as he was getting more control, the movies got worse with Spider-Man 3 and then Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Sam Raimi pretty much deliberately tanked Spider-Man 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, he pretty much came out and said that.
Very subtle not so subtle references to how much he didn't like it and how much he kind of...
Well, yeah, because he didn't want Venom to be there. He wanted
the Lizard for the last... For Spider-Man 3.
the Lizard and Sandman.
And Avierid was like, no, that's a stupid villain.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the next Amazing Spider-Man 1 featured the Lizard, and that was a massive success.
Yeah, and I actually thought the Lizard was a really cool villain. I think they could have gone a better way with him, but I mean...
Yeah. Well, that was the Lizard...
The whole, let's turn New York into Lizards thing was kind of...
I found that a bit typical.
But that was the writers of the movie. That wasn't the character. The character is really interesting.
Dr. O'Connor.
Just Connors.
Dr. Connors? I thought it was O'Connor.
No, just Connors. Dr. Kirk Connors.
Dr. Kirk. Okay. Whatever.
Because Stanley is into alliteration like that.
Stanley!
So what I've heard is they're actually not going to keep Andrew Garfield, which is kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it's not even that they're getting rid of him because they want a fresh start or anything. Apparently, he came out not too long before the Sony leaks and said that Sony doesn't know what they're doing. And Sony does not like that. And Marvel probably doesn't like it, just in they don't want actors talking about backstage stuff. Because I can just imagine what the cast of Ant-Man would be saying if they had free reign.
I don't know. I think that there's a lot to expect from Ant-Man, but that's neither here nor there. Right
yeah,
now,
that's a different episode.
Yeah.
This is Spider-Man centric.
So, I don't know. I think that they could go with him. I mean, I don't think I don't think Garfield would lose much sleep over losing the role. I think I've heard him say a few times that he is pretty much done with playing teenagers.
Well, yeah, he's 30.
Is he?
He's close to 30. I can't remember his exact age, but it's up there. He's up there. Which a lot of people are saying, if they do recast Spider-Man, actually recast him with a teenager. Or at least someone close to their teenage years. Mm-hmm. The two top ones that people are talking about are Logan Lerman, who is in the Percy Jackson movies.
That's not the Teen Wolf guy, is it?
No. And Logan Lerman, he's totally adorable. I don't want him playing Peter Parker.
He can't act for shit.
I don't. He does not look like Peter Parker. He just looks like a cute teenager, and he does not. I actually want the guy from Teen Wolf, Dylan O'Brien, to be playing it.
Is supposed to be attractive, but in an Andrew Garfield way. He's supposed to be lanky, awkward looking, but
yeah,
the adorableness is from like the spark of life that he has.
Yeah, and that's why I think Dylan O'Brien would do it, because Dylan O'Brien is, in every role that I've seen him in, he is sarcastic. He's a smart mouth. He talks really fast, and he's super energetic. But at the same time, he is naturally a nerd. Like, he is actually a nerd in real life. And if they're going to recast him, I would love to see them recast it with him. For many reasons besides the fact that I'd love to see him in that outfit. He's a really good actor. He's really cute. I think he would make a great Peter
Ideal
Parker.
casting, so to speak.
Yeah. Which usually when ideal casting, they try to avoid it, like with Benedict Cumberbatch and Doctor Strange. That's what everyone wanted. They avoided it for like 6 months and then finally said, fuck it, here, have him.
Well, why is ideal casting such a bad thing? That's the exact route they went with Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark.
I mean, he is Tony Stark.
like, he wasn't acting. He hasn't been acting in these Marvel movies.
Like, when you really think about it, with the Marvel movies, they have never really taken a risk casting-wise. I mean, I guess when they cast Chris Pratt, he hadn't gotten in shape yet.
Yeah.
But other than that, they have never had like a big risk. Yeah, he yeah.
I want to adopt babies with him, like, so bad.
And so I guess the big question now is, like, because they are going to be working together, is Spider-Man going to be in Civil War?
I think before it comes down to Spider-Man specifics, Spider-Man's a bit of a Marvel powerhouse in terms of the just amount of creative effort that goes into him. At one point, there were twice as many Spider-Man titles as there were any other titles in Marvel.
Even X-Men?
I think in the 90s. Oh, maybe not X-Men. Maybe excluding X-Men, because X-Men...
In the 90s, though, I could see a lot of Spider-Man books happening.
That's when the fucking Clone Saga happened.
Yeah.
And that was just a heap of shit. And they made it all go away with magic, like they normally do with Spider-Man.
Yeah, which hopefully the new Spider-Man movie is not going to open with, like, him meeting Mephisto and Mephisto going blink and just everything going back to normal.
Yeah. In fact, I'd even like it if Sony went through the last two Amazing Spider-Man movies and sort of added in Stark Tower into the skyline.
Oh yeah, that I would. I mean, they were supposed to have Stark Tower.
Really?
In it. In Amazing Spider-Man 2, they were supposed to have Stark Tower, but they didn't have the deal done in time. Or no, it was Amazing Spider-Man 1. So they've been working on this for a while.
Yeah.
And they were going to put it in there, and they didn't have the deal done in time.
I was so disappointed when, like, the opening scene of Peter Parker or Spider-Man falling, and then you didn't see the skyline.
Yeah.
Different there. That was disappointing.
But no, yeah, Spider-Man is, like, he is, well, he's not the Juggernaut, but he's a
huge marketing
because
force.
He is Batman. He is Marvel's Batman.
He is kind of Marvel's Batman in terms of just the marketing power they can put behind him, because kids recognize Spider-Man
immediately because you just see that mask.
And that's the thing that I'm worried about, is I don't want Marvel to just, because that's why Marvel wanted the Avengers team. That was the B team. That was the one that nobody wanted. So they're like, okay, we have these creative properties. We have to make them recognizable. And they did that with Iron Man. They did that with Captain America. They've done that surprisingly with Black Widow.
Yeah, they turned Black Widow, who was a character that nobody knew who she was, and they turned her into a character.
Name. She's a household name now.
People are demanding her own movie now.
Yeah.
And, like, she barely has her own comic book. Like, she's always teamed up with someone. And they did that. They did that with the Guardians of the Galaxy. No one knew who they were, and they turned them into one of the biggest box
Rocket
office
Raccoon is now one of the most recognizable comic book characters for kids. Like,
which is why I like the idea that Spider-Man is going to be in the MCU, but the Spider-Man solo movies are going to be not solely produced by Marvel.
Okay, I am worried about that. I am worried about that Spider-Man is just going to overtake things, because people have been posting pictures of, like, Civil War, and it's just a picture of Spider-Man. And, like, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the movies that he's going to be in, that Kevin Feige is going to sort of let Spider-Man's popularity sort of take precedence, and it'll be Spider-Man's and friends.
I don't think he will.
I don't think so either. This is just my worst fear.
I think Kevin Feige knows where his moneymakers are. I mean, he turned Captain America into a moneymaker.
I think the biggest moneymaker, for now at least, is Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark.
It's Iron Man, yeah. I mean, Iron Man 3 made more than any of the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. So I think he recognizes that Iron Man is the major player here.
Yeah.
And they sort of have a lot of damage control to do with Spider-Man before he's back up to his status.
Yeah, that's why the next Spider-Man movie is not coming out till 2017. So it's another 2 years.
I don't think he'll even have... Maybe they'll give him a post-credit scene in Avengers 2. Maybe.
Maybe.
I doubt it.
I think post-credits, I think the post-credit scene is going to be introducing Carol Danvers.
I think. Well, there's speculation that the Loki Heimdall one is going to be post-credit, setting up for Ragnarok.
Yeah,
and that the other one is going to be setting up Carol Danvers, Black Panther, or Doctor Strange,
or all three,
or that.
Because assumedly the movie is going to end basically with Captain America and Tony Stark being at odds with each other, and Tony Stark having his Avengers and Cap having his Avengers, which I'm assuming Cap is going to have Black Widow, but other than that, who else would he have?
He'd have Hawkeye for sure. Thor would be on his side if Thor isn't back in Asgard. He'd have
dead.
Right.
Kill Thor.
I've had this theory for the longest time, and James has distributed me from the beginning, although now he's beginning to come around because everyone else on the internet is saying it.
Well, no, I like the idea of killing Thor. I just didn't know if it was... I would love for them to kill Thor. Get rid of him. He's the most boring character. Just make boring. Loki and friends.
Pretty much. I love I love Thor's supporting cast. I love Natalie Portman's character. I love her friends.
Oh my god, her Kat Dennings.
Yeah, she's the girl hilarious. from Two Broke Girls. I adore her so much, and I love the Crazy Professor.
Oh yeah.
I love the Warriors 3. I love Sif's character. I love Heimdall. I adore Loki.
Yeah,
but who doesn't, right?
Yeah, everybody loves Loki.
I'm sad that Frigga is gone.
Oh, his mother.
His mother, who was that badass death in the second movie. I loved that. So
Odin's dead too now.
He's MIA. No one really knows where Odin is right now because Loki just kind of in his seat. I doubt Loki would kill Odin for two reasons. There is a spark of sentimentality in Loki, and he needs a bargaining chip in case things go wrong. Loki always has a backup plan.
Yeah. Before Age of Ultron comes out, we have to sit down and watch them all so that I can kind of be caught up. Because I can't remember anything from the Dark World.
I can't blame you.
But yeah, so...
Spider-Man, back to Spider-Man.
I have heard, and this was before the deal was made, obviously, that there's actually 3 scripts for Civil War. There is the script, basically, where Black Panther becomes the bargaining chip between the two. There is another script, and there is a script where Spider-Man becomes the bargaining chip. So that the scripts are already written. The movie hasn't started shooting yet. So if they need to do a quick rewrite and get Spider-Man in there, if a script doesn't exist for that yet, then they can definitely do that. But if they have Spider-Man in Civil War, I think they have to have Andrew Garfield. Because you need that he's already established.
Well, yeah, you need the sense of continuity because I don't think Spider-Man is actually going to I don't think Spider-Man is going to be in Civil War. I think Peter Parker might make a guest appearance.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Well, what I'm sort of picturing is that he'll be taking pictures for the Daily Bugle or something, and that's how you'll shoe him in.
Yeah.
And if it's not Andrew Garfield, I think that fans might get confused.
Well, it could be
even if he introduces himself as Peter Parker, like there may be a little bit of transitional confusion there.
I think there'd be confusion, but I think they could get away with it if it was just Peter Parker. He maybe has a little name tag from the Daily Bugle with like P. Parker on it or something like that. Yeah. I think that'd be really cool.
I'd like them to keep his role in Civil War as Easter eggy as possible.
Yeah, because you don't need to turn Civil War into the comic books where Spider-Man becomes this messiah between the two of them, that they both have to have Spider-Man. And
especially...
They haven't played... Nobody has masks in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
So everyone knows who everyone is.
Spider-Man's never been referenced before, and...
I mean, like...
The big thing about Spider-Man in Civil War is that he was such a prominent New York figure. And he hasn't really been in anything at all.
Yeah.
And I really wouldn't like... Because, first of all, it was Captain America Serpent Society.
Yeah.
And then it was Captain America Civil War, featuring Iron Man, which is pretty much just Civil War under the using the clout that the Captain America title holds.
Yeah.
And especially because they aren't doing any Iron Man solo movies anymore.
Yeah.
So, if Captain America movie becomes all about Peter Parker and Spider-Man, I'm not going to be very happy with it.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
Although, you were upset about Guardians of the Galaxy and Kevin Feige delivered.
Yeah.
You're halfway upset about Ant-Man, and when the trailer came out, you're like, this is amazing!
Oh, I didn't say it was amazing. I said
this is great, and now you're like, backtracking, you're like, it wasn't that bad.
Well, because I'm going into Ant-Man with incredibly low expectations.
I'm not. It is First of all, it's not about Hank Pym, which is great. Second of all...
Yeah.
Second of all, it's setting up the Wasp. It's setting up characters for the Marvel Universe. That's what Ant-Man is doing.
Yeah.
It is setting up Scott Lang. It is setting up Hope Van Dyne.
Yeah.
And it is setting up Cassie Lang.
And we were assuming that Janet is dead. Probably Hank killed her.
Yeah, really. Or suicide because Hank beat her.
Oh, yeah. It'll be his fault.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they reference that.
I hope they do. I hope they reference that
he was a wife beater or something like that.
A little bit, or just a bit of a checkered past.
Yeah. Because...
And I also hope that the relationship between Janet Van Dyne and Hope Van Dyne is very similar to sort of the Silken Spectre.
Yeah.
Like, daughter is taking over mother's footsteps, reluctantly, but I can definitely see Janet being a better mother than Silken Spectre 2's mother was.
Yeah. But back to Spider-Man.
Yeah, right. They could sneak into post-credits in Ant-Man for Spider-Man.
They could.
Because we don't have any clue on what the post-credits are going to be for Ant-Man.
Or if there even will be, because really there weren't any for Guardians. There was the Howard the Duck.
That was a joke one.
Yeah, that was like, look what we can do. We made you stay. One thing I was wondering about Marvel getting Spider-Man back is, and it's probably unlikely, but could Spider-Man figure into the Netflix shows?
Oh, definitely.
Because they are New York.
It's
they're characters that have all interacted.
The Netflix series are about street level heroes.
Yeah, which is Spider-Man.
Well, not many people understand this, but in the Marvel universe, Spider-Man is technically a B-lister superhero.
Well, yeah, he has superpowers, but I mean...
He has superpowers, he's a street-level hero, and the only reason he's on the Avengers is because Brian Michael Bendis is like, or was like, let's make the Avengers the catch-all for all of the cool superheroes we have. Even though...
Like, add Wolverine and add Spider-Man.
Add Wolverine, add Spider-Man! Oh my god, make it all about them! And literally, for like 5 years, the Avengers was all about, like, Captain America, Iron Man, and Wolverine. And it sucks because up until Bendis took over the Avengers was all about Captain America and usually Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Hawkeye, not a lot of people understand this either. Hawkeye is an A-lister in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. He is the one with no powers that shows up anyway and kind of makes up for it with his kick-assery.
Yeah. He's also an excellent team leader. That's getting really fan to me. But basically, Hawkeye is a long-standing Avenger, and if you're on the Avengers as long as he has, you're an A-lister. People recognize you. You're a public figure.
Which I think that's kind of why Jeremy Renner gets irritated that Hawkeye has such a small role in the movies.
Yeah.
Because he's actually a comic book reader, so he knows who Hawkeye is.
Yeah. And I think he'll have a much bigger role in this movie.
Yeah, I think he's going to be much bigger in Age of Ultron.
Because in Whedon we trust. Whedon is a comic book reader. Whedon loves the Avengers, and that's why he wanted to direct it.
Yeah.
And that's why they let him direct it. But no, like Spider-Man is small potatoes in the Marvel universe. He's a street level hero, and he isn't supposed to be on the Avengers. In my personal opinion, people are like, "Oh, it's so good that Spider-Man's on the Avengers." No, it's not. He was offered a position on the Avengers 4 times, or maybe 3. Since 1963, when the Avengers formed, to 2005, when he actually did join, because Bendis was like, he turned them down all the time. Every time he turned them down. Even when he was trying to get on the Fantastic Four, he turned them down when he learned that they don't get paid. Legit.
Well, I guess he's poor, so.
Yeah, I don't blame him, but, you know.
He's really kind of the only mega Marvel character who has any money worries.
Hawkeye used to. When he was off the Avengers for a while. He quit the Avengers for a while. And he worked as a security... I think it was for Roxxon. He worked as the head of security.
Yeah.
And it was... his series was actually very similar to the Hawkeye now, because back then, up until 2005, Avengers Disassembled, all the active Avengers lived in Avengers Mansion.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of their home, and they got paid $1,000 a week. And this was this is a tradition from the 60s. You got paid $1,000 a week in the Avengers. Like, that's a lot.
I think they would have upped it a little bit.
Maybe. Still, $1,000 a week is a lot.
Well, in the 60s.
Yeah. But even from my poor student area, and especially because, like, if you're living at Avengers Mansion, you know...
Yeah, if your bills are paid.
You don't have any living expenses at Avengers Mansion. That's kind of one of the things.
Yeah.
Hawkeye wasn't living in the Avengers Mansion. I think this is probably... I'm going to say after West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I'm not sure. Don't quote me.
He's the Marvel expert, ladies and gentlemen.
I need to read up on them again. Anyways, and it was him living on his own, and he didn't have a solo title, but sometimes the Avengers titles would focus on him.
Yeah.
And he'd be living on his own, I'd be talking about how he needs money and shit, and it was fun. Nowadays, Avengers have their own apartments, and they just converge upon Avengers Tower.
Yeah. But Spider-Man.
Right. We'll take that out, baby. What else about Spider-Man? Could they recast?
And one thing I'm really thinking about, and as soon as I heard this, it ran into my mind because there was talk about it before. Could they kill off Peter Parker and just bring in Miles Morales and start fresh? No reboot. No need for that. Just kill Peter and bring in Miles. They would have Black Spider-Man, well, half black, half Hispanic. Miles is an awesome character. They could have a young black actor being a superhero.
You know what might not be that bad? Is if Marvel movies use one character and then the Sony movies use the other.
But they coexist?
Yeah. Because, you know, Marvel is setting that up right now in the Marvel Universe.
That's true.
In the comics. That's what we speculate anyways.
Because I think, in my opinion, the best... There's 2 really good ways for them to go about this. Just keep Andrew Garfield. Mm-hmm. Or kill Peter Parker and bring in Miles. Because then it's not a reboot, technically. It's a new character, but it's still Spider-Man. It's still the same villains.
I'd also be okay with a recast. I love Andrew Garfield, but I would...
If they had to recast...
A recast.
I would accept it if it was Dylan O'Brien. That's the only one I would accept. Otherwise, I would throw fits until I saw the movie.
I will not accept Spider-Man if they reboot him completely. And I don't think Kevin Feige will, because they have built up a lot of character drama with Spider-Man.
Yeah. I would also accept if they recast him with an actor who is in his 30s, but have Peter Parker in his 30s.
Yeah, sort of like Peter
Where
Parker
he is now.
is, like, graduated, he's a professor.
Yeah, like right now in the comics, Peter Parker owns a corporation, a scientific firm. He has money and everything.
I don't like this. I miss, like, Professor Parker.
Well, he probably still is. I haven't been reading all that much.
It's lame.
But to actually just have Spider-Man be, the same age as the Avengers, and then not have him as the kid, because then if he is the kid, he's going to be the token kid who they all kind of say, oh, they're there. And, oh, you don't know what you're doing. You're too young.
Amy Pascal stepping down, but still producing Spider-Man. Now, as soon as this shit hit the fan after the information leak, I called it. I was like, they're going to make Amy Pascal step down, and she's not going to like it.
And I was saying that I didn't think they were going to, because it would make them look bad. Like they were in crisis.
Right.
So
but,
we were
I
sort
think,
of both right.
Yeah, they're keeping her on in Spider-Man, which still shows confidence, which makes it look like it makes it look like she's dedicated to the Spider-Man cause enough to leave it to focus more directly on it.
Yeah, because what happened was she agreed to be let go. She agreed to leave her position as not CEO, but she was very, very, very high up at Sony.
She wasn't a CEO?
Maybe she was a CEO.
I think she was the CEO.
I can't remember the exact title.
Because that's where all the crosshairs went when things seemed to go wrong.
But where she was basically... I think what happened was they basically said, you can leave and take this little package. Or...
But the package was money to start her own production company.
Yeah, which is actually an offshoot of Sony. So Sony controls the production company and gives her money, but she kind of has free reign over it. Whereas with Sony, she had to answer to a lot more people. And so she's going to be producing Spider-Man with that, which I think that was the consolation prize. It was like, you're not going to be CEO anymore, but we are going to let you produce Spider-Man. And I think she is going to work very closely with Kevin Feige, because she knows that Kevin Feige knows how to make money.
Yeah, really.
And he knows how to make Z-list heroes into giant stars. So what can he do with Spider-Man? So that's all we have to say right now. We will be probably talking some more when more information comes out. It's another 2.5 years before the next Spider-Man movie comes out. It's another 1.5 years between Civil War. So there is a whole lot of time for things to go down. I'm just excited that this actually happened and it didn't end up just being another fan pipe dream.
I knew this was going to happen. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah. Especially after the Sony leaks, after Spider-Man 2 did so poorly. It was bound to happen eventually. I'm just glad it happened. We will be back with the official second episode of the Gay Geek Theory podcast this Friday. So, hope you have a great week, and we'll be talking to you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.